Hello, beautiful mamas, and welcome back to the Balance Mama Project Radio. I am your host, Dr. Valerie Rucker-Bussie. Um, I have to admit, you guys, today it is a rainy, cozy day in Washington, D.C., and I am feeling like curling up in a blanket and sipping on some wine. And so I just have to say, if I sound like Delilah or Joyce Littell or insert any one of your Quiet Storm MCs, it's because it's one of those nights. So buckle up, strap in. Today we are going to talk about going from talking about your pelvic floor to talking about your peace of mind. We're really going to get into talking about how physical therapy and yoga can help transform pregnancy and postpartum recovery. So, if I told you that 10 minutes of mindful movement each day could transform your pregnancy experience, would you believe me? So, this is talking about, from pelvic pressure and back pain to even mood and sleep, really improving and enhancing these aspects of pregnancy. If I told you that 10 minutes of mindful movement would improve and affect change in these areas, would you believe me? Maybe not. But today we're going to break down the science and soul behind integrating physical therapy and yoga for pregnancy and postpartum recovery. So let's get into it. Let's talk about how the body is changing. So some may know, but as a recap, when we're pregnant, our bodies are producing lots of different hormones in various levels in order to really prepare the body, right, for birth. Well, one of those hormones is relaxin. So, relaxin, just as it sounds, it is designed to relax the ligaments, allow for a softening and a widening of the cervix. It really helps to expand blood vessels, all these things that are necessary for you to be able to grow and deliver the baby. Now, with that though, it's not selective in where it goes in the body. So, relaxin, as it is loosening those ligaments, and as a recap as well, ligaments connect bone to bone. And so, as relaxin is loosening up those ligaments, you may find that you might have foot pain or back pain or insert any other pain. And the reason is because we're losing some stability there, right? Ligaments connect bone to bone, and the tighter they are, think of a rubber band, the tighter they are, the more stable the connections are between bones, the less movement you've got going on there, right? Relaxin can also affect posture as well for those same reasons. Think about all the bones in your body, guys. It's helping to relax these and loosen these joints so that you are able to have a smooth delivery and so that your body can grow and expand and adjust. But also, it can it can lead to some production of pain, and that is because you have a lack of joint stability. Now, in addition, you've got your pelvic floor, which is really your hammock of all of your pelvic organs, and then stacking on top of that your abdominal organs, and stacking on top of that your diaphragm is that affects your breathing. So when we're talking about early pregnancy, pelvic floor awareness is major key. It can really lead to a smoother labor and easier postpartum healing. And here's why. If we are paying attention to our pelvic floor muscles in the ways that we move, we can really support our bodies better and have better posture, and what's really key about this is a smoother and faster delivery. So, some things that we work on with clients and that we love to share with clients is actually, instead of all that forceful holding the breath, pushing, really during labor and delivery, particularly speaking about a vaginal delivery, learning how to control the pelvic floor muscles and allowing for that relaxation so that they can spread and soften as baby exits the womb is super key. So, one of the things that we love, love, love to do with the Balanced Mama Project is labor and delivery preparation. And that's because from the very beginning of pregnancy, you can control certain parts of the outcome by learning how to listen to your body, learning how to tune into your body, bringing on some pelvic floor awareness to your body. During pregnancy as well, again, as we were talking about relaxing the ligaments in your body, it's also going to do that for your pelvis, right? And so if you are able to support yourself with breathing, and with activating the pelvic floor at appropriate times while pregnant, you can truly, truly help to support your body. And again, find yourself with less pain, less hip pain, lower back pain, things like that can come from just having a lack of awareness or connection with the body. So one of the things that I love, love, love to do with folks, and we're going to talk about a little bit later, is prenatal and postpartum yoga to really connect back into the body. So in previous podcasts, we've gone into talking about breath work and posture and core engagement. And so without going into that in too much depth here, I really just want to mention that the pelvic floor, it doesn't work in isolation. So it's a part of a really deep core system that includes the breath and your diaphragm and your posture. All of these things matter. And so when you learn to move more with awareness and care, you actually do train your nervous system to feel safe and supported. And part of our philosophy with the Balanced Mama Project and as clinicians is really a nervous system first approach. If we are ignoring the nervous system and trying to put building blocks on top of a shaky foundation or a foundation that feels unstable a bit, it is going to be so difficult to build anything. But if we work at the foundation, which we believe is the nervous system, then truly, truly, we can in fact change. So, leading into that, I really want to talk to you guys about the true power of prenatal and postpartum yoga. So, as a yoga instructor, I think when I was in my yoga teacher training, it was after I had gotten my doctorate of physical therapy and I've been practicing for a little bit. And as I was doing the training, I was realizing, oh my goodness, there is so much overlap between what we do in yoga and the body and the breath work there and what is important for decreasing pain and addressing the nervous system as a physical therapist. So there are so many complementary components, but some that you might even be thinking about off the top of your head are balance, strength, flexibility, and then that mindfulness piece. So thinking about balance, strength, and flexibility, remember we were talking about how the nervous system, or how, excuse me, how relaxin is stretching out those ligaments or loosening up those ligaments. Finding your balance as someone who is pregnant is sometimes very challenging and also extremely important to reduce the risk of falls and injury and things like that. So let's talk about balance for just a second. In yoga, particularly prenatal yoga, we are working on finding this new balance. Every day, this body is changing, y'all. It blew my mind when I was pregnant with my daughter how much the body was changing on a day-to-day basis. But finding that center of gravity is really, really important. A lot of times we are just working with our clients on straight up trying to find that center, that balance. And then in doing so, making sure that we're doing a lot of things with 2 feet on the ground as opposed to one. So prenatal yoga is about keeping both feet on the ground and finding that balance as the belly is growing and expanding. Something that we really want to be mindful of is addressing, when do I activate my core? When do I activate my pelvic floor versus when do I give it a rest? When do I relax it? So all of that is about finding your balance. And then strength is extremely important. Extremely important because, again, you've got these ligaments that are relaxing, your body is shifting, you are growing. And so, as that's happening, building up some strength in the muscles is going to help with finding some stability when everything feels maybe a little bit wobbly, a little bit shaky. Totally makes sense. And so I also mentioned that yoga works on flexibility, and while we don't want to overstretch during pregnancy by any means, we do want to make sure that we are expansive in some ways that will help with delivery if we're choosing to do or planning to do a vaginal delivery. And even if not, right, it is so important to maintain your balance, strength, and flexibility for just throughout pregnancy to support the body. And then that mindfulness piece is chef's kiss, super key. So, with the mindfulness, what we're thinking about is really connecting ourselves to our experience and what is happening so that we can have, again, better outcomes with delivery, better outcomes postpartum, really connecting ourselves and rooting ourselves into what is happening. So, that being said, I just wanted to take a minute to share a few of my absolute favorite postpartum and pregnancy yoga poses. So, I'll start with pregnancy. So, during pregnancy, I'm just laughing because my first one that I really love is cat cow. Now, I'm laughing because Dr. Lisa, who is also one of the co-founders of Balanced Mama Project, I know that she won't mind me saying this because she has also told this story. But during her first pregnancy, this licensed clinician um, did about like 100 cat cows per day, right? Which is just so funny because she was adamant about doing those cat cows. But I have to say, I would endorse adding some cat cows into daily movement. Maybe not 100, maybe not 100, but I would endorse adding it because it is really going to help with coordinating that breath with movement, adding some mobility to the spine, which sometimes doesn't get a lot of mobility when we are pregnant. And it's just generally so good for bringing awareness to the body. Supported goddess or supported malasana, which is yogi squat, is so good because we're thinking widening, we're thinking opening, and at the same time strengthening those hips with all of the with the squat motion and holding it but being supported. Oh my gosh, amazing. And then child's pose with a bolster. First of all, doing something that is going to allow baby to kind of be held in this like hammock of your abdomen as you are leaning forward. Amazing, beautiful. It it's taking baby out of a different in a different into a different position than um, baby would be in. And then it's also relieving your back muscles, and just allowing overall general relaxation. So very much so, love that. So then let's jump into and dive into early postpartum. So early postpartum, some really good supine breathing, some shavasana is really good. Just thinking about, again, connecting yourself back into your body after delivery. Delivery can be an experience, okay? It can be an experience. And so connecting yourself back into your body with some supine breathing, even as you start to progress early postpartum and you start to wake up those pelvic floor muscles, you can do so with breath work from day zero, okay? But then as you're moving forward, and we start to get into bridges, we can do bridges, squeezing a block, we can do legs up the wall is a really, really, really good relaxing pose postpartum. But some things that we really love to do in the Balanced Mama Project is offer, the prenatal yoga, the postpartum yoga, and really incorporate all of those relaxation, but also those strength and balancing poses that are so key, so helpful. So I want to take a moment also to emphasize the fact that breath work is super key here. And we're not going to dive into it right here because we've done that in a few of our other podcasts. So I'm going to allow you the opportunity to check those out. But breath work is majorly important, not only on a physical level, but it is also so important for emotional regulation and healing, okay? It's something that we focus heavily on when we're working with clients because, again, that nervous system approach is key. And yoga is just a really good tool that gives us permission to slow down and listen. And that's exactly where true healing begins. So, something that we like to really focus on related to the postpartum world is things that we've heard people talk about constantly, and that is pelvic pain, diastasis recti, urinary incontinence, low back pain. All of these things are so, so common, but they are not normal. They are something that is your body's alarm system to say, "Hey, let's do something a little bit different." So, as we start to address these things, we've seen clients go from having significant pelvic pain and urinary incontinence to being able to go back to what they enjoy doing, leak free, pain free. And it is really a lot of times attributed to just this nervous system first approach and then building upon that, stacking on building blocks of strength, body awareness, breath work, moving right into daily activities and living and things like that. So, honestly, our intervention strategies, things that we love to do, are starting off with some gentle mobility, starting off with core reconnection, moving into that functional lifting and retraining and things like that. I hope as I'm speaking with you all tonight that some of this is resonating with you because a lot of times what we hear is, well, I've tried to address this issue before and I really haven't found a solution that works for me. And so, with that, I do invite you to check us out, reach out to us, email us with at the Balanced Mama Project. And I invite you to do that because a lot of times it just takes maybe a different approach. And so if you are someone who has tried to address these things but hasn't really found what works for you, we are really excited to just dive in with you and figure out if our approach maybe is the key. And so just to recap, I want to give you guys something to go go home with, or if you're already home, I want you to have something to take away. We can title this maybe reclaiming your center, like something like reclaiming my time, but reclaiming your center, right? And the way you're going to do this on a daily basis, here's your daily practice. You're going to give yourself 5 deep belly breaths. And when I say belly breaths, I mean you're feeling your rib cage expand. You're feeling that belly expand as well. 5 deep belly breaths. Then you're going to go into 2 yoga poses. So I've given you a few in this podcast episode. So feel free to rewind a little bit. But for pregnancy, again, my favorite, Dr. Lisa's favorite as well is cat cow. And then for postpartum, I would say my favorite is maybe legs up the wall with some deep breathing. And then your next part of your daily practice is to check in with yourself. So, one self check in question: what do I need right now? You'd be surprised how often the immediate answer is, I don't know. Then we got to do a little digging. And that's what we're here for. We love to talk with you guys about identity and shifts in identity during pregnancy, during postpartum period. Who am I now? Really learning and adjusting. And that's where we bring in our occupational therapy lens. And that's when we bring in our yoga and Tai Chi lenses in order to really help to um, facilitate those self-check questions. You can also check out our Amazon journal, or our journal on Amazon. It's called Mama Time. And you're welcome to check out the guided version of that journal that has some self-check questions for you. So, all in all, mamas, we just want to see you do well. We love a good nervous system approach, and we hope that you have taken something away from this podcast in terms of being able to add in a little bit of mindful movement, understand where you are in pregnancy and postpartum, and recognize where you want to be. And check us out if you would like some help with that. All right, take care, mamas. We love you guys. Stay balanced.